Welcome to Tawas Point State Park. Tawas Point State Park is located near the town of Tawas at the end of a sandy spit that forms Tawas Bay. It's located about an hour from the Tri-City areas of Saginaw Bay City, Midland, if you're familiar with that area.
I can do the map.
You're gonna do the map?
I'll
Okay.
do the map this time. So
where are we?
It's right here, a little bit above the thumb, but still on the main peninsula, not on the thumb.
Sure, that works.
See, I can do maps.
It's about 3 hours north of Detroit, so it actually makes it a really popular park because of its proximity and because some people really love the sunrise side of Michigan.
You say that
I'm not one of those people.
in a way that you don't like sunrises. You like sunrises, you don't like getting up for the sunrises.
This is correct.
I'm more of a sunrise person, you're more of a sunset person. It is, I mean, I think one of the things we read is people refer to this as sort of the Cape Cod of the Midwest because of the area. It is really pretty here. And we're here in mid-October, so it's chilly, but the leaves are starting to turn. The bay is really cool. The park and campground actually sit between Tawas Bay on one side and actual Lake Huron on the other. So it's in a really interesting location.
Its location is why it's really important, actually, because it started out as a U.S. Coast Guard station with a lighthouse to protect the ships that were coming in off of Lake Huron into Tawas Bay. And so it was an extremely important navigational aid. What we found really interesting was we went and visited the lighthouse and we learned some history on that, which is that they've actually had 3 different lighthouses here. There was an original lighthouse built in the early 1800s. But what ended up happening is that the lighthouse was built on the end of the sand spit, and then nature happened and the sand continued to expand to the point where the lighthouse was no longer at the end of the area anymore. So they had to build a new lighthouse. And that's the one that you see here today, although it is no longer in service. So the new one is, what would you call that?
I think it's a light tower. It's automated. It's just a big metal tower with a light on the top, and I think it has a foghorn. It's not nearly as cool as the old lighthouses.
No.
But it is at the end of what is now the point at Tawas Point, and the second lighthouse was built, I think, around the 1870s. Is actually about 1.5 miles inland from the end of the point. So I had to laugh when you were saying nature happened. That's a lot of places nature happens, right? And things change. But this is one of the areas that I've never seen something quite this dramatic, where lighthouses literally just end up inland, quite a ways inland, on a good-sized piece of land because of the way the coastline has changed.
The lighthouse is really cool, and we encourage you to come check it out. It's open different hours at various times in the year, so you'll have to check the website or check the sign for when you're visiting and what days and times that it is open. Part of the time it's open with an actual admission fee, and then part of the time it's open with donation only, sort of in the off season. But it is a really neat thing to check out. We happened to actually be visiting at sunset time, and it was gorgeous as the sun set, and it sort of just lit up the tower, especially with the fall colors behind it. So I think that's kind of a cool time of year to visit, is when you're in the off season and you see those things you wouldn't necessarily see otherwise. Tawas Point State Park was created in 1961 after the U.S. government declared that this land out here was surplus. So after they were essentially done with the Coast Guard saving station that was out here, they turned it over and the state of Michigan bought it. And so now we have this great state park.
Because one man's surplus is another man's awesome park. The lighthouse is actually inside the park. It's part of the park, and I really like this park. You've got the lighthouse. There is Sandy Hook Trail, which is a trail that you can take actually out to the point of Tawas Point, and we made our way out there eventually. Part of the trail is flooded right now because of the really high water levels in the Great Lakes, but you can still get out there. There's an access road and some other trails, that kind of thing. So it was neat to see that.
We've come to a little bit of a dead end. We've been following the interpretive Sandy Hook Trail here on Tawas Point, but unfortunately Tawas Bay has overtaken the trail, and neither of us brought our waders today to get through the water behind us. So I think we're gonna have to turn back, but the water levels are exceedingly high. Even the interpretive sign and the trail marker are well out into the water at this point. And I think we're gonna see this continue for another year or so, but it's still really pretty. So at least come out here as far as you can get.
There's a bike path pretty much all the way through this park. It's not a real big park. It's
183 acres, and we found it to be quite popular, both in the campground and just people that were here for the day use, walking out on the trail and out onto the sand spit to the point.
There is a nice day use area, big parking lot. There's a beach there. There's a beach house, a concession stand. At least in season, it's closed right now, but it's a really pretty beach. They did say that you swim at your own risk because I'm trying to think what word they used to be cautious.
Like
something about
the bottom.
The lake bottom was
unstable or changing.
I don't want to say it was dangerous. There was some warning word about it. So
yeah, I think it was a really nice sandy beach though, from what I saw. So in season that would be really nice. And what I was enthralled with was the concession stand area. They've got a nice big pavilion with changing rooms, bathhouses. It's closed right now, but then they also have a separate little deck area with picnic tables and not a cabana, but they might have umbrellas in the summertime. So if you can come right off the beach, you can probably grab something at the concession stand and then have a little snack right there on the patio overlooking the water.
And everything is walkable and bikeable because of the trails that go everywhere. And, that includes from the campground, it's a good-sized campground, 190 plus sites, if I remember correctly. Couple things I noticed about this. One is we talked about last night walking around, the number of handicap sites that are here.
Yeah, I counted 6 or 8 handicap sites, which is more than we've seen in other parks, and they're all paved in this case. So sometimes that isn't always the case. They just consider them more level, but all of the ones here are paved.
And good size. They put some good size concrete pads down, so it was nice to see the ADA accessible, easy to get in and out of, and that kind of thing with the concrete pads. I was really impressed with the bathrooms that are here. They've done something really different. It's kind of the standard design where you have the sort of a long hallway inside a brick building with bathrooms on one side, showers on the other. But they've, as sort of an afterthought, they've put windows and doors on the end of the hallways. So it's an enclosed hallway, which when you're camping at this time of year in particular, it's nice to have that windbreak and to keep some of the cold air out.
Speaking of the bathrooms, we also noticed in the showers, they actually have residential shower heads on the showers, which is really nice, as well as a couple signs on, not all of the showers, but a couple of them that said these were the eco-friendly ones. And so instead of having just the on and off water switch, they have a push button. So the water's only going to stay on for a certain amount of time. So you're kind of taking a Navy shower, but they purposely tell you that that's what it's designed for. So they're helping to preserve, the environment in that way. And I think that's really cool. The other thing that we found neat, and I haven't seen this at other state parks, or at least I just haven't noticed it, on the outside of the bathroom area is a really nice dishwashing area. They have 2 huge big kitchen industrial type sinks and faucets. And now they do say there's certain things you should not dump down, no food, coffee grounds, that thing. But for people who are camping in tents or small units that maybe they don't have a big water tank, having that dishwashing station is a nice bonus.
It is nice to have that here. And like I said, it's a nice campground. It's a little deceiving sometimes when we show you these campgrounds on the shoulder season because it's pretty empty in here right now. So what I noticed walking around is in the center of the loops, it's probably a little bit packed in tight when it's a busy season. And the reason I say that is as you walk around, you look at things that can't move, like the fire rings. Picnic tables, people haul all over the place, but fire rings can't move. And so that gives you an idea of how close together the sites are. And if you imagine when campers are pulled in there, how you're kind of going to be on top of each other. But the outer part of the loop, we're at a site that's right now that's basically up against the Tawas Bay.
Yeah, it's a really pretty site.
And
site number 42, in case you're looking for something.
It's a very nice site, but Site 43 right next door kind of has the same view, but it's a really tiny sort of pie-shaped site stuck in between 2 others.
I'm not sure how they decided on that one. It's almost like they should take the 2 and just combine them in the 3 and combine them into 2, because the person in the middle is really going to be like stuck in the middle with not a whole lot of space. So I feel like it's really a tent only site because it is like a hill and then a dip and then the road.
So it's like a lot of state parks. You got to look at the size of the sites that you're looking for. It's all 20, 30 amp here. So there's that to think about. But the sites also, some of them are a little more level than others. We noticed some were a little bit wet, I think because of the time of year that we're here and they're just going to hold more water. But it just seems like a really nice campground. I could see why this place is so popular. In addition to the regular campsites, there are a few other camping options here at Tawas Point State Park. There are 4 cabins. 2 are the mini cabins, which I think are basically just empty and have some bunks in them, bring everything with you. And then there are 2 of the larger cabins here, and those are really nice. Those are the mini cabins are kind of in the campground. The larger cabins are at the end of the campground looking out over Tawas Bay. They have some very nice porches on those. And there is a yurt.
There is a yurt. We still haven't stayed at a yurt yet. We'll have to do that sometime. I think a yurt would be a really good, fun family activity. We'll have to try that sometime.
If we can get the family out here.
If we can get the family. Our family doesn't camp very well. At least not our style of camping anyway. I would come back here again in the summer, the fall, the spring. I don't think they're open in the winter. The park is, almost all the state parks stay open in the winter, but their campgrounds shut down. I think this is just a really nice state park in general, both campground and the park itself. It is known for its birding. That is something that a lot of people come here for. There's some actual signs that it's part of the Saginaw Bay Heritage Birding Trail or something to that effect. And there were quite a few people out this morning with binoculars and really long camera lenses that were staring at the trees. So I think that is a really popular activity here. Just a couple visitors' notes. There are 2 swimming beach areas. There is one in the campground solely for the campers, and then there's the big one in the day use area. The one in the campground is relatively small. There's not a whole lot left to it right now with the high water levels, but it's overlooking Tawas Bay, and I have to say that it is a great view of the sunset. So even though this is the sunrise side, because you're looking over the bay headed west, it provides a gorgeous view of the sunset. And this site in particular that we were on, we were able to just sit in our car when it was cold last night and watch the sun go down. So that was a really kind of nice bonus. Another thing is there are a couple nice playgrounds, play areas in this campground. Again, one at the campground and one over at the day use area. Slide swings, it's the newer modern playscapes, and I always find that those are really nice for the kids, and they've got the nice rubber foundation. So if you fall off, you're not going to get hurt.
They also have a volleyball net set up. They have some horseshoe pits. So a lot of different things to do here. I really like this park. I think there's a lot of ways to have some fun here. You've got the lighthouse, you've got the bay, you've got Lake Huron, the beaches.
And and I think town is really popular too. So we're in the shoulder season, so I think not everything is open. But if you look at the state park map, there's all sorts of lists of businesses that are in town. And you've got a number of different restaurants and ice cream stores and gift shops and touristy locations and all sorts of things. So check it out when you're in a campground in an area like this. Make sure you pop into town and see what the local area has to see too.
I know a number of people that come here year after year, maybe not necessarily to the state park or the campground, but they have family cabins that are up to this area. So it obviously is the place to be for some folks. So maybe you should consider checking it out. Keep on trekking.
And we'll see you out there.